Got it.
Got it.
Great. We'll wait a couple more minutes, folks, to come on board. Hello, Cheryl. Welcome. Janice Cook here. Great.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Cheryl.
Nice to see you all.
Yeah.
It's the most fun committee, you know, the financial support ministry. It's just always a blast learning new things. We never get bored, and great group of folks.
It is.
Yeah. And thank you, Mike, for being willing to do some training, budget training for us tonight. It's
Yeah. Well,
super helpful.
yeah. Hopefully it is. And we're recording tonight, and that'll be available to folks, and we can do these again too. This one will be focused tonight on really the budget grounding piece of it. We may do something later on if need be to talk about the budget worksheets. That's the next part. We'll talk about that as we get into it. Maybe I'll wait another minute or two just to see if we have anybody else who's coming on board. And then there were some other folks that may have wanted to come on. So
great. I wanted to thank Pastor Chris for sending out this, additional encouragement to folks to participate. It doesn't sound like fun to some of you, I would guess, but honestly, it'll be great.
I hope you come out of this realizing it's not math class. So.
Thank goodness I'm not a numbers person.
Yeah.
Numbers are easier than these questions.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, that's the meat, is the stewardship, the generosity, what are we doing, the stories, what we're building here. That's what really gets me excited, Jewel.
Yeah. It's challenging, but I hope you feel it's worthwhile as we get through that. Well, let me, as we're waiting for maybe one or two more folks to arrive, introduce Cheryl Essex. Cheryl's the chair of the Financial Support Ministry. We also have Jan Soller here. Jan's our treasurer at DCC. Just come on board in the last year and just done a fantastic job taking over for Mark Moore, who's also in the Financial Support Ministry. Mark may come on later in the meeting tonight. We've also got Brett Kirsten. Brett is our incoming finance minister on staff. And Brett served interim finance minister, a year ago or so, and comes to us from my house and with tremendous amount of skills and really going to hit the ground running. We're really thrilled to have the team we do. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We'll let the folks, come in as they do. And so I'm going to start sharing a screen here for you with some slides. This is tonight to kind of give you some introduction to the overall budget process and give you a sense in particular of how this budget grounding stuff fits into this. This is a new thing that we've adopted at DCC in the last couple of years, getting better and better at it every year, I think. Here's some other folks that are also key part of this whole operation. I introduced Cheryl and Jan Soller. Emily Henderson is our session liaison. Jim Rogers, Nancy Allen, also on board. Mark Moore, our former treasurer on the Financial Support Ministry. So it's a great group, and we're available out with questions and things that may come up along the way. Let me check on this. The budget. Well, what's the budget? We all think of our budgets as our sort of our home. What's our checkbook? What can we spend? It's really for us at DCC a more intentional financial plan. It's putting DCC's vision into action with good financial stewardship, to think responsibly about how we're managing our resources and put them intentionally to places where we can have great effect. So includes sizing up what our resources are, what's available in the coming year, and thinking about this in terms of long-term sustainability of what we're doing. And then a budget also is the formal action in which session, representing the congregation on behalf of the congregation, grants the authority to staff and ministries. So you have the permission, you can go forth. Once things are in the budget, you don't have to come back and get extra permission for those kind of things. So ideally, the budget is the place where we get all these things thought through and taken care of, so that you can go forth and not have to worry about more steps in the process before you can take action to do things. We like to budget the financial plan to be something that takes everything into account that we're trying to do, to be transparent so we can see what's happening. So if somebody wanted to see what we're up to, it shows what we're doing with our resources. And as much as possible, we try to put all of our spending and income plans into and make them part of this plan, not so we don't have little side things going on or stuff late and have to deal with little additions. That stuff's going to happen. Things happen that are unanticipated or that we just haven't been able to plan for as effectively as before. But as much as possible, we want to do that in a comprehensive fashion as a part of the budget process, and think about all the kinds of things that we're doing and plan for them together. So budgeting, the budget process then, and the budgeting process is where we think about what is the vision that we have and how do we put that into action. So it's not just dollars and numbers. It's not just a list of budget authorizations, a line item kind of budget. There's more to it. There's really a lot of intention. There should be more description. It should provide a roadmap and help people understand what we're doing with the resources that we're providing, we have, and what we expect to receive. It starts with our vision of who we aim to be as a church community. And that vision is the responsibility primarily of Session, and it's carried out by our various ministries. And you can find that vision document that articulates all of that, the Vision 2028 document. It's online, and these, rather than me sort of giving you a web address, the easiest thing to do is to go to our website and go to the About tab on the top of the website, and then see Vision 2028. So just go to the website, About, and you can find the Vision 2028 document there. And that should be one of the things that you start with your ministry, to ground you, to think about what is our purpose, what are we trying to achieve here, is to kind of refresh your familiar with Vision 2028. So the budget grounding process is the key first step as we start to pull together the budget. And we're going to get into some detail about what's involved in all of that tonight. It's really those 6 different questions that are in that budget grounding form that's in that budget preparation memorandum that we sent out with memo a couple of weeks ago. And these 6 questions: how we realize, our ministry, realize DCC's vision. What is our purpose? What is our role? Sort of a mission statement of our particular ministry. How we embody that vision. What is how we carry it out? So not just the purpose, but how are we going to do that? The hows of it. What's our intended outcome? How are we going to look back and see if we had some success or not? How are we going to measure that? We'll get into some of these in particular as we go through. What are we going to do new and differently next year, both in terms of things that we might add or things that we might let go of, that it's time to retire and let go. And what kinds of people do we need to carry this out? People with particular interests or skills or things that we may have, but also that we need more of in particular areas. So we can think strategically about inviting people to become a part of this that might have those particular skills or passions. And what other ministries and groups do we need to collaborate with to keep us from being siloed, to think about how we connect, how we currently connect with other groups, how we might do it differently, what other groups it would be good to communicate with and connect with more as we move forward with this, both in terms of other ministries and also groups in the community, other groups outside the community. So that budget grounding form should be completed by the end of February, by February 24th. So you've got a full month here to work that through. And ideally, this is really not something that I hope you won't just have like an individual do. Like, don't dump it on a staff member. don't have just, your chair pull this together on their own isolated. The value of going through this process is for you to work this through with your entire ministry, to really do some thinking, some discernment. A favorite word, discernment, right? To think about what your group is doing and where they intend to go in the coming year. So there's a lot of value in going through that process. You may have somebody take the lead and sort of draft up some ideas, but I think it's really important that you not just make this some individual filling out the form. It should be more than that. And then once we have those budget grounding forms completed on February 25th, then after you've turned in those budget grounding forms to the support ministry, and we begin to work with those on financial support, then we'll give you the number stuff, the budget worksheets, where you'll have some history in prior years of what the actual spending has been in your ministry, in the budgets that are relevant to your ministry, and those are in the current budget as well. You see some prior year spending in columns that are presented in the budget, and we'll also give you information about where you are year to date as best we can, probably through the month of January. I can't entirely promise that, but we certainly have through the month of December. Jan is confident we can get through January by the time we get this out. I figure so. By the end of February, we'll have the January number. So you have 7 months at least to kind of see how you've done in current year spending, to kind of get a sense of what that may translate into next year. So those two pieces, the budget grounding form that then leads into helps to inform where you might want to put your financial resources in terms of that budget resource, will go together into the proposed budgets from each of the ministries that we'll pull together. Those are due on April 14th. So you've got some time there to work, good 6 weeks or so to pull together those worksheets and get those to financial support ministry. And I can be your key point of contact there to pull these things together. And then we'll pull that together along with our stewardship campaign. We'll use a lot of the budget grounding messages, all the text that you've worked up in there, super valuable to us in the stewardship campaign, to have a sense of what your visions are, what you're doing, all the great things that are going on and that we hope to carry out in the coming year. Very valuable in terms of articulating to our community where your funding goes and why it's so important that people contribute and make commitments to us financially. So together once we have that stewardship campaign in place and we have a better sense of what we can expect in terms of resources coming in from pledges and other sources, together with information from the personnel committee about staffing and what we can expect in terms of compensation and benefit costs, we'll fold all of that stuff into a proposed budget strategy for the session to consider. And very likely we'll have to present, the financial support ministry will have to look at some different alternatives and ideas for a session to grapple with, to bring things into balance. Some ideas about how to make ends meet in this budget so we can come up with a realistic budget. We may not be able to fund everything, but we may come up with ideas, some innovative ideas about how we can stretch things and make things work. So that's how that all happens. And that, of course, ultimately the budget will get adopted on June 15th. We run a fiscal year here at DCC. So it begins on July 1st and ends on June 30th. So we're really planning for that fiscal year 22-23 year. So that's the sort of overall budget process, right? And what we'll produce, and this was really this current year is the first year we've done this full kind of budget presentation, is a document that not only has the sort of income and expenditure kind of charts and graphs and tables, but it also has for each ministry your budget grounding work that you've done. So it's presented along with the dollars and cents. It's not just a line item dollar and cent stuff, but also this hard work that you've done in your budget grounding to help people understand where this money is really going to, not just dollars and line items, right? So that's that current budget is available to you now as a tool also in your budget grounding work. You may want to refer back to that and see what you want to do to build on what your ministry did last year in its budget grounding resources. So let's take a look at this budget grounding in a little more depth here. And the first thing I want to do is let's have a little fun here and have a poll. All right. Here's your question. You didn't know there was a test, but I'm sorry. Here you go. Here's a test. You can pick any of these. Pick which one of these apply. You can pick any or all of them. The DCC budget grounding form, should it be completed with input by one person? The full text says one person, like the ministry chair or staff. Should it be completed before we start talking about specific dollar amounts? That's the number 2. Will it be used for? It will be used for DCC's stewardship campaign. Yes or no there. It will be included in the budget document along with the dollars. Yes or no. Should it be completed and turned into financial support by February 24th? Is that a yes or no? I don't know if you can you see all the full questions, or did those get chopped off? Those get
I
chopped
can
off?
see them.
Okay, good. The full answers, good. For some reason on my screen, it's all chopped off. Anybody else want to answer?
Not number 1.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Here we go. We're going to end the poll and share the results. Yeah, not number 1. We want to make this something that not a single person has the burden of having to do, but we use this process in the budget grounding form as a tool to really grapple with these challenging issues and think about where we're going. Think about how we're going to take this vision of DCC and use the budget to make it happen. So should be completed before you start talking about dollars and cents. Yeah, you really want to think about the vision first and not get worried about budget items yet. That's the second step. It will be certainly used. We're going to use these stories that you're articulating in your budget grounding forms as a part of our stewardship campaign. We're going to include your budget grounding text in the final document as well. So that's a yes also. And it will be, you should complete that and turn it into financial support ministry by February 24th. Okay. So let's go on to the next one. So here, let's talk about some of the specifics here. Here's a great example, I think one of the better examples from the current year's budget of answering the first 2 questions from the congregational care ministry. So how we realize DCC's ministry through our ministry, our purpose, our role. Congregational care says we tend to the well-being of the people, reaching out. That language is from 2028, right? Reaching out wherever we see a need. We seek to support members of DCC in the physical and spiritual ways. Congregational care is the heart and action of tending the well-being of DCC. So a good kind of a mission statement there, right? For that ministry. Number 2, how we embody the DCC's vision. So this is going then beyond sort of your purpose to how are you going to do this? What is the basic design or for how are you going to do this? So what do? We coordinate rides, memorials, meal assistance, prayers, we much more. During the pandemic, we have brought joy, cheer, and well wishes to those who are isolated or in need of a boost or extra care. We function in collaborative group with monthly meeting discussing. So this is sort of the main house of how we do that. So some good examples there. This is perhaps one of the more challenging ones here is our intended outcomes. And how these are metrics, and how do we measure things? And as you know, sometimes when we start to measure things, we pay more attention to them. So there's a value in that. And by this thing, I don't necessarily mean that, not suggesting that you have to say, well, we have 5 members in this class now, and we want to move it to 10 members. Perhaps you want to be that specific, but maybe it wants to be as general as we're going to increase the attendance, or we're going to double the attendance, or we intend to train, assist. I mean, these sort of yes or no, have we done this particular task? Specific things that we'd like to accomplish in the coming years. This is from the Financial Support Ministry. Some things that we can sort of measure and say, have we accomplished these things this year? So that you know at the end of the year, have you done what you set out to do? And kind of how will you know that you're successful? Okay, so it takes some thinking. This can be really tough depending upon the particular ministry you're at. And a lot of the things we do are not sort of quantifiable. They're more qualitative kinds of things, but think about how you might kind of get a sense of things and how you know if you're doing well with things. Maybe you want to think about doing more things in the way of a survey, or kind of returning back to people with sort of responses, and how checking in with people about how they're doing with certain activities to see how we're doing. Here's another one, Christian formation with children and family, really good articulation of the particular things that they're trying to accomplish with children and families. A whole lot of different things to measure and think about here, right? Increasing numbers of teachers and volunteers, implement at least 2 activities for the purpose of nurturing, equipping, and appreciating staff and volunteers. So some kind of tangible, quantitative stuff, as much as possible and reasonable, to sort of do things that are measurable. Okay, here's Christian formation, the adult formation ministry, and on the number 4 question: to obtain our intended outcomes, we will add, put on sabbatical, or let go. This can be really challenging, particularly when we talk about what things can we let go. We've done many things for a long time, but perhaps sometimes it's to think about, well, maybe now it's time to give that a rest this year. Maybe we need to take a break from this and do something differently, or a different way, or focus our energies in a different area, because we can't do everything. For adult formation ministry, they want to add support on logistics for small groups based on Christian perspectives, using existing and new resources. And they want to bring in exciting and edifying lectures to discuss topics and faith formation, new things that they want to do in the coming year. So number 5 is, what sorts of people do you need to make these things happen? The Children and Families Ministry says, we seek to expand the children's ministry team and cadre of volunteers by new members of the children's ministry team. We particularly invite parents for this relatively small time commitment but important role in helping develop the program and guiding implementation for our vision. One of the things this section, number 5, really helps is for Elisa Stone, who part of Elisa's task on our staff newly this year is to do congregational engagement, to look at the gifts and callings of people in our congregation and where they might plug in. So this is super helpful stuff for Elisa to see what kinds of people different ministries need to help match those talents up. Children's Ministry also says we need volunteers to help in non-teaching roles, like gathering supplies, preparing class materials, these sorts of things. So there's a good example there. Still on Christian formation on the Children's and Families Ministry, number 6, we need to collaborate with these other ministries and groups. So there's many different types of groups that we connect with. And there's just for Children's Support Ministry, they connect with Community Life for special events where children are involved, right? Congregational Care for care packages for families, New Expressions for connections with the play group and Empower YOLO, Davis Community Church Nursery School. So again, groups, not just ministries, but groups connected, affiliated with DCC as well. Adult Christian formation, buildings and grounds, ministries or groups with whom we plan, and children appropriate service opportunities, right? So really kind of think through all the different groups and how you might connect with things. This might expand opportunities that you hadn't thought of before, because you're just asking the question of who do we interact with and who ought we to interact with in carrying out our mission. All right. Okay, ready for another quiz? Here we go. Poll number 2. Oops, poll number 2. Let me get to it here. Here we go. In the budget grounding process, my ministry should, and you can select all that are true in this time, refer back to DCC's Vision 28. Yeah, should you do that or not? Should you assume DCC is back in person for the full 2022-23 year? Should you consider methods and technologies that allow for allow and enhance for remote learning? What about remote connections? What about referring back to your responses for the current 2021-22 year as a reference? And should you ask for help from financial support ministry if you need it? It's not really a very difficult test for all of you retired college professors, I imagine. Okay, anybody else? Okay, looks like we got full group answering there. I'm going to end the poll here and share the results. Yeah, refer back to the vision, definitely, and see how things fit in. Yeah, I got that one right. Yeah, we should assume that for this purpose of budgeting that we're back in person, full. So think about your budget in terms of that. We may or may not be, but we're going to construct the budget with that assumption. But also, the third one is true. Also should consider methods to some of the new technologies and ways we have of including people who are not able to attend in person. New technologies, new methods that allow for people to connect without maybe doing in person. See if those things kind of fit in, and what kinds of new technologies you've been using now that you can continue even when we're back in person. So think about that. And yeah, refer back to your responses for the current budget. That can be a nice foundation, and hopefully we can all improve upon what we've done last year. Definitely, yeah. Don't hesitate to call financial support ministry, anybody, me, anybody else, or email if you have any questions. We'd be happy to help. Happy to help you facilitate in your ministry or answer any questions that come up. Please don't hesitate to contact us. Yeah. So, okay. With that, here's our group again on financial support ministry. We're looking for talented new members as well on this ministry, as I'm sure you are. And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions. You can just, I mean, we have a small enough group here. I think you can, if you want to just kind of wave, do the non-technical way of waving. I'm going to stop sharing here so we can all see each other. And go ahead and ask any questions or put it in the chat if you like. Jan, you had a comment there. Think about also about your, what were you thinking there?
Well, I've expanded it.
Okay.
I've learned the system. So I'm going to send the chat to all of you so you can read along, but it's not.
Oops, you went on mute there. I'll try again.
Now I have to send my chat.
There you are. You're good.
There's my chat.
Okay.
So this process is really focused on your ministry area, but you all are part of the key leadership of our congregation. And so it's also good for you to, in this process, dream about DCC, offer thoughts for other ministry areas, think about technology and staff and volunteers. Mike, you've said all those things. Think about how you are going to monitor your spending next year and what do you need for that. Capture those thoughts and send them also to finance ministry. I'd probably do it as a separate document because it's not really this assignment. But I know you all don't live just in the silo of worship ministry or buildings and grounds or congregational care. You are part of the whole ministry of our congregation. So those are my thoughts.
Great stuff. Thank you, Jan. Yeah. Did I see Katie had her hand up? Katie, did you have something? Question or Roger?
I was about to put it in the chat,
Just
Yeah.
but anyway, the presentation you just did went by pretty fast,
Hmm.
and my eyes aren't the best for reading small print on the computer. So I'm wondering if that could be sent out as an email that we download.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My second question is it possible to get copies of the paperwork we handed in a year ago?
Yes, I will do both of those things for you. Yeah. And if you would like the budget grounding form, I think it's like a fillable PDF or something. If you'd like that in a Word document, or if you even want it in a Macintosh format of some kind, just ask. I can convert those and send it to you in whatever kind of file format you like. If you want it in an Excel file, or fine, and I can take it back in those forms as well.
I'll
So
communicate with you by email.
yeah, let me know which format you need in to make that happen. But yeah, what I'll the budget, the current budget that we sent links to with the Chris's message that came out a couple weeks ago in the budget preparation document has the current budget in it or linked to it, I think. So you should have that, and that has your budget grounding information from last year, but that's in the PDF, and if that's too difficult to work with and you want something to cut and paste, I could send you it in a Word file or something too. So yeah.
Thanks.
for January 17th.
Yeah.
I could just say something to folks. DCC, the DCC family is a really generous group of folks, and we will probably get commitments and or gifts coming into us in the next fiscal year of $1 million. So I want you to think big in what can we accomplish to serve God's purpose for DCC, because the more information we give to session about how we think our group is called, or other groups are, because something that you wish another ministry could do, you see an opportunity there. The more information we can give to session, the better the budget is going to be, the more aligned it's going to be with what we see are the opportunities for Davis Community Church. So think big. Don't just think about, the challenges of the last few years of actually rolling out our projects or our programs and our activities. It's certainly been a huge challenge, and I'm so glad that you've hung with us during this time. Keep it up. Keep feeling optimistic. Keep feeling like we're poised to continue to move forward and do things in new and different ways that will make a huge impact. So just think about that piece, and that's what session wants to hear from us.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Yeah. All right. I will I'm going to pull this into a little PDF version of this presentation, so you can, per Kitty's request, it's a great one, and we'll make that available to everybody as well. Send that out to you, and don't hesitate to call or reach out if you need any help or documents that you can't find or anything else. Great, really appreciate you all and all you do and being here, and thank you. Gratitude. Yeah. Closing thoughts, Chris? Should we end with a prayer, maybe?
Yeah, I'd love to offer a prayer. So I'm going to use I think I'll use an adaptation of that abundance prayer that I offered in a sermon recently. Because as our financial folks who manage us and guide us so beautifully, I mean, tonight again is just such a great witness to the competence of our financial leaders, their faithfulness. I'm astounded at the degree of the high level of commitment and expertise that's offered to us, as well as the stewardship of our own people. So here's an abundance prayer. May your abundance, O God, limitless and free, flow toward us and around us, within us and through us. And may all we love be blessed abundantly in and through Christ. Amen. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, all of you, for being here tonight and having this overview and introduction. It will help us all.
Thank you all. Take care.
All right.
Look forward to seeing your documents.